You probably think you know the story of Anne Frank, but we're not going to talk about the years of hiding. We're going to zoom in on just one single earth-shattering day, July 9th, 1942. This is the story of the first 24 hours in the secret annex, the immediate, shocking reality of a world suddenly reduced to inches.
Wow, that one line right there just shatters the myth, doesn't it? So let's just, for a moment, forget any romantic idea you have of a cozy, safe little hideout, because the reality from the very first moment was something completely different, and it changes everything about how you see this story.
All right, so let's start right there, tearing down that idea of a sanctuary. Let's try to see this hidden world through Anne's eyes, her raw first impressions. This wasn't a sigh of relief. It was the beginning of a sudden, jarring, and totally new reality.
The very first thing that hits you isn't safety. It's just how small everything is.
And it wasn't welcoming. It was dusty, like it had been forgotten and just left waiting in the shadows.
The walls immediately feel like they're closing in. The air itself feels cramped, constricting.
You put all of that together, and what do you get? Just this one overwhelming, undeniable feeling. It was deeply, profoundly unsettling.
And look, this wasn't just some vague feeling. It was a full-on assault on the senses. Anne's first observations really paint the picture. That dangerously steep staircase, the surreal idea of a bookcase that's secretly a door, that musty attic smell, and maybe worst of all, an eerie, unnatural quiet that would basically define their whole existence.
You know, this initial shock, it was about so much more than just walking into a weird new apartment. It was about an instant, total loss of freedom. Your life is no longer measured in days or hours. Suddenly, it's measured in inches. This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The harsh new rules of life. On the left, everything that vanished overnight. No more running outside, no more laughing out loud. And on the right, that's the terrifying new reality. Every single thing you do is now ruled by silence. Every little sound, from a footstep to just unpacking a bag, could literally be a death sentence. And that right there, that's the heart of it. It's such a powerful line. Freedom wasn't the open sky or a busy street anymore. No. Freedom was the few inches between your bed and the wall. It was just a memory of a life that was completely gone. So, you've got these physical walls closing in, but that, of course, leads to the psychological part. The biggest change wasn't the size of the rooms. It was the crushing weight this new reality slammed down on the mind, right from day one. So that begs the question, right? What could possibly be heavier than the physical confinement of this tiny, tiny space? Well, the answer really redefines what the annex actually was. Because the annex, you see, it wasn't just a location on a map. It became a condition, a brutal psychological test, a test of endurance against the silence, a test of your own identity when your old life is just stripped away, and ultimately, a test of your ability to hold on to any hope at all. And this is the real gut punch, the heaviest weight of all. For a 13-year-old girl on the very first night to understand that this wasn't some short adventure, this was it. This was her new reality for who knows how long. Can you imagine? That single realization, that was the real prison. But here's the thing. This is not just a story about being trapped. And that brings us to our final piece here. The incredible, unbelievable resilience of the human spirit. Because in the face of this crushing reality, something else was born. A duality. A split between the world outside her and the world inside. This chart really shows you what I'm talking about. It's the central conflict. On one side, you have the immense, overwhelming psychological weight of the annex, the fear, the silence, just the sheer bleakness of it all. But standing right up against it, fighting back with almost equal force, was her inner world, her imagination, her wit, her diary, which simply refused to be crushed. And that's really the key takeaway here. The reason her story is so powerful isn't just the tragedy of a child being locked away, it's the triumph of a mind that refused to be imprisoned. It's about an inner world that she kept alive against all odds, even when her physical world was literally reduced to inches. And so that leaves us with this huge, profound question. It's the ultimate takeaway from that first day in the annex, and it's a question that echoes through time for all of us. When the body is confined, where does the mind go?